Hello, hello, my spirited living, divinely feminine friends. This is Deborah Roth from Spirited Living, back this week with another edition, another installment of our Inner Goddess Team journey. Something I started a couple years ago. You can learn more about it by clicking on the eye up in the corner of the YouTube video. If you're watching this on Instagram, you have to go to my YouTube channel. And at the end of that, there's also a place that you can learn more about this whole, what I mean when I talk about the divine feminine, so that I'm not repeating it each week. The overall impetus behind it is to do whatever I can in my small way to return the world to a more balanced place, evoking the qualities of the divine feminine in all of us, male, female, no gender, not gender specific by any means. And those qualities are compassion and collaboration and honoring our intuition and our emotions, honoring the earth, honoring our connection to nature, honoring our bodies. And the earthy connection comes in particularly vividly today with, I'm kind of continuing on my theme of earthy / lustiness, but really the tree theme of the month. Because it is, as I'm recording it's May, but as I often say, you can call on these, I do them at particular times of year. I bring in the goddesses from around the world that oftentimes just evoke this particular time of year. But you can tap into them whenever you want, regardless of when you're watching this. So I encourage you to think about that and not think that, oh, I can only, look at that goddess at a particular time of year. And definitely subscribe to my channel, and you'll see a whole array of all the goddesses all over the place. If you've got a favorite, you can search for it and see what you find. So, continuing on this journey of tree goddesses, we are honoring today Asherah, she was originally a Canaanite from Canaan, which was kind of the pre-Christian pagan lead up to Judaism, really. And those of you who are Jewish may very well know much more about her story than I do. I've certainly heard of her. She's quite extraordinary. She was one of the top, along with Anat, of the Canaanite goddesses that were really being worshipped like 1400 BCE. And she was known as the Lady of the Sea, the Tree of Life, she who gives birth, and the mother of the gods. She was actually, by the time the patriarch got a hold of her, they just called her a tree. But you see the sacredness, the sanctity of the tree in Judaism and certainly all over. But she's associated with the tree of life. In fact, she's often depicted as a staff or a pole that, and it was said early on that she was the wife of Yahweh, of the early Jewish / Christian God, and that his altar was surrounded by these poles, these trees, as a tribute to Asherah. Now, eventually, there was a monotheistic ruler, Josiah, I think his name was, who ran around and tried to obliterate every pole, everything that he could find that related to Asherah, but she could not be eliminated. She was very important and powerful to particularly the women of the time, because as we know, in ancient times, while there were certainly powerful women, they relied on archetypes, on goddesses like Asherah to turn to when they needed support, when they needed guidance. And she is, in her role, it was also, she was married to El in the Canaanite version of the story. and he had 2 wives. She gave birth to 400 children or something like that, which means she's also a goddess of fertility. And she's known and be in that mothering role, and the mother of the gods. That's where her phrase, the mother of the gods, comes from. She's you call on her main themes are kindness, love, and foresight, kind of divination. Her major symbol, of course, is a tree or a pole or a staff. But also, it's interesting, she was brought in. She's often depicted, and let me move my hands around a little bit, with surrounded on one side by a lion and an ibex on the other side, which is this long-horned goat-looking thing. And she's the original. Her original symbol, her original connection was to trees. Out of that came, and I'm continuing to hold this up. You can see the tree in the picture. In this beautiful rendition, and I'll give you the website. I just found some amazing, really wonderful series of information about her on a particular website that I love. Journey to the Goddess, I think the name of it is, and so you can learn more about it. I won't go into everything here, but you can. I don't know if you can see it, but there's also she was instructed to create 3 sprouts on either side of the central one, and that's where the menorah came from. So we went from a Canaanite pagan goddess, pre-Christian Judeo goddess, Asherah, known as the tree of life, to become the tree of life, which then transformed into the menorah. So there's images of her everywhere. And there are, let's see if I can find some of them. Not having grown up Jewish, I don't know all this by heart. There are Asherah. There are several words in Hebrew that relate back to her in terms of, I'm not going to be able to find them quickly in my notes, but that means you just have to go and look at this website, because it's got all kinds of great stuff in it. So she was, her powers and her presence were invoked not only during planting time, because, as I said, she was this goddess of fertility, but also during childbirth. She was thought to be the goddess who walks into the sea. Not quite sure what that has to do with fertility. And here's the piece. In making the first menorah, the ancient Hebrews were instructed to have 3 branches coming out of either side of a central stand, and that stand was representative of Asherah. That's who she was. That's who she became in the patriarchal rendition of it. She was just a pole or a staff that was part of the altar. Here's a beautiful prayer. This also, if you have never, this is another one of my favorite places, referrals, is Patricia Telesco. Let's see if I can easily put my hand on her. I keep it right next to my, little thing here. Patricia Telesco, 365 Goddesses. Not everything in there is completely accurate, but she gives such a beautiful and poetic description of all these goddesses. Some are connected, to obviously 365. She does a daily goddess thing, and this is a beautiful prayer that she offered up to Asherah. And I'll share just another tree chant with you in a minute. Lady, make me an instrument of kindness and mercy. Let my words be gentle and true. My actions motivated by insight and fairness. Where there is prejudice, let me share your vision. Where there is uncertainty, let me share your vision. Where there is disharmony, let me show love. Blessed be. Isn't that beautiful? And the tree chant that I'll share with you, I had one that I really loved that I shared a couple weeks ago when we looked at Nematoma, who was the goddess of the sacred groves. And I sang a tree chant then, and then I found another one that that's also quite lovely. If you, and I'm slowly getting my voice back. I'm still a little crackly, so this will be in a pretty low register from all these flowering trees. I think that's why I was inspired to to make the month of May my tree goddess month, because I'm in New York City, and all the, it's just exquisite. I'm right on across the street from Riverside Park, and today I actually sat under two of my favorite trees in my community garden, having gotten my hands in the dirt, and planted a bunch of impatiens in my garden plot at the Lotus Garden, and then under one of my favorite trees in Riverside Park. So your mission is to, if you can't plant a tree, at least get your hands in dirt, take some time to sit under a tree, my favorite place to meditate. And you can sing this chant, sing it in your head, sing it out loud, some version of it. I won't have the tune that I originally found on this may not be exactly right, but you get the idea. The leaves on the trees reach up to the sky as the roots reach down through the deep, dark earth. The leaves on the trees reach up to the sky as the roots reach down through the deep, dark earth. The leaves on the trees reach up to the sky as the roots reach down through the deep, dark earth. So, allow yourself to be surrounded, to be infused with the fertility of the season, with the beauty of all these new things growing. Think of yourself as a staff of Asherah. Think of yourself as holding her energy of kindness, of fertility, of mother godliness. And I'd love to hear your stories. Please go out and commune with a tree and let me know if you hear Asherah's voice. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.